His resignation was expected to either bring down the conflict or trigger a power struggle that would, of course, worsen the violence. How's the situation been so far?
Let's say the situation is probably less worse than it was when President Djotodia was in power. Over more than 8 months, he and his prime minister haven't been able to bring a new dynamic, to stabilize the country, not even to bring a little bit of peace in the capital. So it was quite a substantial failure that brought the leader of the Central African region, and probably supported by the African Union and France, to change the leadership in order to bring to give the country another opportunity. And what we see now is that there's a slight stabilization, and at least the hope that when today the new transitional leadership is elected, that the security situation actually also improves.
Did he have a choice when it came to staying or going? I mean, the pressure was so high.
He didn't have a choice. We shouldn't forget that President Djotodia wasn't a legitimate leader. He didn't come to power after an election. So he pushed his way into this power. So he didn't have a choice, because those who actually tolerated him there actually decided that he wasn't the man of the situation. So it was an unusual process, but it was necessary.
Yeah. And having said that, I must say that the news was received quite positively. And it also inspired hope for African leadership, where sometimes leaders hang on to power, even when their presence is not in the interest of the country or going forward. I mean, that's I suppose, the reality.
Yeah, that's true. But I would say that President Djotodia was not necessarily representative of African leadership. He was neither a charismatic leader who could inspire his troops. He had actually no real power over his heteroclite Seleka rebel group. He wasn't also, he wasn't either a technocrat, somebody with particular technical skills who could actually manage the administration and also manage a government properly. So he was actually not really representative of African leadership, whatever we can say about these leadership.
Okay. What, in your opinion, fueled this action? Was it because of the illegitimacy of Djotodia's government, or the decision would have been taken even if the government was a legitimate one? What's your sense?
No, I think what definitely triggered this decision of the Economic Community of the Central African States was the really dramatically deteriorating situation in the country, and the potential spillover in countries like Chad, Cameroon, and also in countries like the Republic of Congo. So these countries, with their ally France, have no interest in the Central African Republic being actually the center of a potentially regional, unstable region. We shouldn't forget that the Central African Republic is also neighboring South Sudan, where there has been for a couple of months now also unrest. So all these factors contributed to the fact that President Djotodia was at a stage not considered by all important actors as not the man of the situation.
Yeah. Do regional economic communities and the AU have what it takes to play a more effective role in removing leaders to advance democracy?
They have, but they have this potential in the long run. Unfortunately, today, in the era where we expect results quickly, like yesterday, so the processes that these type of organizations put in place are not necessarily visible by the broader audience, and that's generally what triggers some criticism over these organizations. But they are trying. They are becoming more and more influential. They are influencing processes and have quite a great impact. But the impact is generally to be taken in the long run, not necessarily in the short term.
Can other regional communities learn from the economic community of the Central African Republic's decisiveness over this car matter?
Probably, and we can just hope so, but although it was unusual, it wasn't completely new. We've seen pressure from economic communities like ECAs. For example, in West Africa, we've seen that kind of pressure also being exercised over certain leaders, particularly after coup d'etat, and this also is the outcome of the new decisiveness that both the African Union and regional economic communities can exercise.
All right, thank you for talking to us and explaining from your opinion, Paul Simon Handy, who is conflict prevention and risk analysis at the Institute for Security Studies in our Pretoria studios, talking to us about the Central African Republic's interim president, Michel Djotodia, that has resigned.